This is Concept 2 Notes, and we're going to talk about periodic notation. So just what do we see on the periodic table? What does it tell us about different elements and their atoms? And how can we learn other things about atoms of elements based on ways that we write notation for them? So the periodic table, what are all of these numbers and symbols for? That is what we are diving into today, and even more so. So let's zoom in on just periodic notation of just like one element. Now, different versions of periodic tables can include different information. I'm going to introduce you to this awesome website called ptable.com that has so much information about the different elements. And you might have one in a textbook or have one printed out that looks a little different. But in general, all versions of a periodic table have these 4 things on them. Some of them have even more than this, okay? But they have the atomic number, they have the symbol, the name, and then the average atomic mass. Some people just call it atomic mass. Some call it average atomic mass. We'll be talking about this later in the notes. We'll circle back to this, but we're going to start by talking about these first 3 things. So first, what is that atomic number? This is what the entire periodic table is arranged around. You'll see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like you're going left to right in reading order. Well, that atomic number tells the number of protons in an atom of the element. Remember, we learned in Concept 1 Notes that the subatomic particle protons gives us the identity of the element, and that's the atomic number. The atomic number is what we're using to identify an element. If it's 3, I know it's lithium. If it's 1, I know it's hydrogen. If it's 2, I know it's helium, okay? This number is so important. The entire periodic table, again, is arranged by these atomic numbers. Also, in an electrically neutral atom, meaning an atom that has no overall charge, the number of protons is equal to the total number of electrons. And so hydrogen, in an electrically neutral atom of hydrogen, if there's 1 proton, because the atomic number is 1, there has to be 1 total electron. If there's more or less than that, then it's not electrically neutral and it has a charge, and it would be referred to as something called an ion, okay? But typically, if we're just assuming electrically neutral, number of protons equals the total number of electrons in the atom. It's in the atom's electron cloud, if you want to be more specific. Okay, next thing we typically see is the symbol. This is just an abbreviation for the name of the element. Name is what's underlined here in orange. So you got the symbol and the name. It's really important that you write these the way that they are. Like hydrogen is a capital H. Helium is a capital H with a lowercase e. It matters the upper and lowercase because when we get to compounds and bonding in our next unit, we're going to be having multiple atoms next to each other. And so make sure you're writing these down, okay, the right way. Use your periodic table. You will always have access in my class to a periodic table on your tests. So use it accordingly and make sure you know how to read it. Now, there are other things, though, that are helpful to know about an atom, like its mass number. But this is not on the periodic table, okay? Very important. You will never see the mass number on the periodic table. The mass number is the number of protons and the neutrons in the nucleus of the atom. Remember, that is where most of an atom's mass is located. It's all concentrated in that dense center. So we're counting the protons and neutrons because that's what contributes to the mass of the atom, okay? All you're going to do to find it is add the number of protons and the number of neutrons together, okay? So looking at these Bohr models, how would we find the mass number of them? Well, the nucleus houses the protons and neutrons, electrons are around it. If I want the mass number, I'm just going to add the number of protons and neutrons. So in this carbon atom, 6 plus 6 is 12. In this fluorine atom, 9 plus 10 is 19. And calcium, 20 plus 20 is 40. Those would be the mass numbers of these atoms, okay? So I want you to have practice understanding how we can determine different things about an atom using the periodic table and using information given to us, okay? So I have 4 atoms here, 4 different elements. You are going to fill in all this other information about them. We are going to assume that every atom is electrically neutral, which means the number of protons will be equal to the number of electrons, okay? So you're going to use the information given to you and the information you can find on the periodic table to fill this out, okay? Now, I'm going to help you because this is our first time doing this, and then we're going to do some practice in class. So first, the element, we're going to know what the element is based on its atomic number because the atomic number identifies the element, right? How do I know the atomic number? It's on the periodic table. It's on the PT, okay? What's the mass number? It's the number of protons plus neutrons. So I'm going to add this number and this number. That's going to give me the mass number. How do I determine the number of protons? Well, that's always the same as the atomic number, okay? How do I know the number of neutrons? Well, I'm going to take the mass number and I'm going to subtract the number of protons. That's going to give me the number of neutrons. Remember, these have to add up to equal this. Number of electrons. In this situation, since they're all electrically neutral, the number of electrons is going to be the same as the number of protons. Okay? So with this, I helped you with this here. I want you to try to fill this out on your own, and then we will go over it in class. And then we will kind of divide up and do some more practice in class as well. But for the sake of the video, we're going to kind of jump into the second half. So that's kind of the basics of periodic notation. Other people call this atomic calculations because you're doing a little addition and subtraction. Also, I'll say too, for my class, I will always make sure you have access to a calculator. So I know some of this is simple mental math, but like, I don't want you to miss a test question because you can't do 127 minus 60. Okay. We're not going to worry about that. You'll have a calculator and you'll have a periodic table. Now, that's the basics. Now we got to talk about isotopes. So not all atoms of an element are identical. Okay. They will have the same atomic number if they're the same element, because that's what identifies them, but other things can be different. One of the ways they can be different are different isotopes. So isotopes are atoms of the same element with different numbers of neutrons. So the atomic number is the same. The number of protons is the same because that's what's identifying the element, but the mass number is different because the number of neutrons is different. Okay, so for example, hydrogen, that element. There are some atoms of hydrogen that are hydrogen 1, some are hydrogen 2. Okay, that number 1 and 2 is the mass number. So hydrogen 1 is like this picture here. It just has one proton. It has no neutrons. 1 plus 0 is 1, so its mass number is 1. This version of hydrogen still has one proton because it's hydrogen, but it also has one neutron, and 1 plus 1 is 2, so that's where hydrogen 2 comes from. Okay, so that's how we're determining what these are. Some elements only have one isotope, okay, only one version of them, but most elements have more than one. Now, with the exception of hydrogen 1 and helium 3, the number of neutrons is like basically always equal to or greater than the number of protons. Typically, they're most stable when the number of protons and neutrons are the same or close together, but that's not always the case, especially after element 20. Most isotopes have like way more neutrons than protons, okay? But that's kind of like a general rule of thumb. We have that little inquiry activity that we did before this, where you could see as you were adding neutrons in the simulation, how it changed the stability. So that's a really good example to kind of look at how stability is impacted. So in order to identify isotopes, we have to have a way to notate them. So I know the difference between like this one that's pictured here and this one that's pictured here. Okay, so that's where isotope notation comes in. There are two ways you can notate an isotope. First is hyphen form, which I already showed you. That's the name of the element, and then a hyphen, and then the mass number. So potassium hyphen 40. This would be an atom of potassium with a mass number of 40. Potassium has 19 protons because the atomic number is always 19 for potassium. That's on the periodic table. So if the mass number is 40, that means this isotope, this version of potassium, has 21 neutrons. Another way we can notate this is with nuclear form. That's where you put the mass number in a superscript over here and then the symbol. So for example, 40K would be the same as potassium 40 up here. Now, a little note. Nuclear notation can also include the atomic number below the mass number like this, okay? But that isn't really necessary because if you know it's potassium, you don't need to also know 19 because you can look that up on the periodic table. So this 19 and the K is like a little redundant, but I just wanted to let you know in case you ever see that somewhere, that other number is just the atomic number. What really matters is the mass number and then the symbol so we know what it is. Okay, so let's do an example of writing those different types of notation. So first, let's look at this Bohr model of lithium. So hyphen form, we would write the name with the mass number. So mass number is protons plus neutrons. 3 plus 4 is 7. So that would be lithium-7. Nuclear form would just be the superscript of 7 and then the symbol Li. Over here, we have phosphorus. Okay, so again, hyphen form is the name And then the mass number is protons plus neutrons. 15 plus 16 is 31. So it would be phosphorus 31. Nuclear form would be 31p. Now, notation can also include the charge if the atom is not electrically neutral. So if we don't see charge, we're going to assume it's electrically neutral. That means the total number of electrons is equal to the total number of protons or the atomic number. If there's a charge, that is now considered to be an ion. That is a charged atom. So for example, 63 copper 2 plus. Okay, what can we determine about this atom from this notation and from the periodic table? Okay, so first, Cu stands for copper. Okay, from the periodic table, we can see that it has an atomic number of 29, so we know it has 29 protons. Okay, from this notation, we see 63, that's the mass number. Mass number is protons and neutrons, so 63 minus 29 tells us that this this atom of copper has 34 neutrons. 2 plus is a charge. This tells me that the atom is an ion because it has a charge, okay? It's not electrically neutral. 2 plus means it has a positive 2 charge. So there are 2 more protons than there are electrons in this atom. So somewhere along the way, the atom has lost 2 electrons. It's not going to ever gain protons because that would change it and no longer be it would no longer be copper. But it must have lost electrons. So if it has 29 protons and a plus 2 charge, it has to have 27 total electrons, okay? That's all information I can figure out just from this notation right here. All right, let's do another example. 35 Cl minus. All right, Cl stands for chlorine. From the periodic table, we see it has an atomic number of 17, so we know it has 17 protons. From this notation, we see 35, okay? 35 is the mass number. Mass number is protons plus neutrons. So if I want to know the number of neutrons, I do 35 minus 17, that's the atomic number, and I get 18 neutrons in the nucleus of this atom. Now, the minus sign is the charge. So this must be an ion. It's a charged atom. If there's no number along with the symbol, that just means it's a 1. They just don't write the 1. So minus just means -1. It has a -1 charge. That means there is 1 more electron than there are protons in this atom. Remember, an atom's not going to gain and lose protons because that would change its identity. It'll gain and lose electrons. So if to be -1, it must have gained 1 electron along the way. We'll see this happens typically when it's bonding with other atoms. We'll see that in our future units. So if it has 17 protons, because it's chlorine, and a -1 charge, it must have 18 total electrons. All right, let's do one more. All right, for helium. What can we determine about this from this notation and using the periodic table? So He stands for helium. We know it's helium. We look at the periodic table. Helium has an atomic number of 2. So we know that this atom has 2 protons. 4 in this notation is always the mass number, whatever's up here. So mass number is protons plus neutrons. So 4 minus 2 tells me 2 neutrons. So this has 2 protons, 2 neutrons. We do not see a charge over here. So if no charge is indicated, you can assume that it has 0 charge and that this is an electrically neutral atom. It is not an ion. So that means that the total number of electrons is equal to the total number of protons. So if there are 2 protons, that means there are 2 total electrons. Okay? That's the kind of stuff we're going to be doing moving forward. All right. 2 more things I just want to do before we practice some more together. I mentioned at the top 4 things we typically see on the periodic table: atomic number, symbol, name, and then the average atomic mass, okay? We're circling back now to average atomic mass. So that's this number here. This is a weighted average of all the different versions of an element, all the different isotopes. Because remember, all those different isotopes have different mass numbers. So this is going to be a weighted average, okay? Now, sometimes you're going to see this term as just atomic mass, sometimes average atomic mass. Average atomic mass is a more precise term, but many periodic tables and textbooks just label it as atomic mass. So just treat those interchangeably here. What we mean by weighted average is it's based on the percent of natural abundance of each isotope. So if I have a lot more of something, it's going to be heavier weighted in the mass than if I have a lot less of something. Okay? It is closest to the most common isotope of the element, okay, in general. That is a general rule of thumb. So if I look at hydrogen on the periodic table and I see its average atomic mass says 1.01, I can generally assume that the most common version of hydrogen in nature that's naturally occurring is hydrogen 1, because this would round down to 1. That would mean 1 proton, 0 neutrons, okay? But that is not always a perfect rule, okay? So for example, if you look at silver, Ag, on the periodic table, it has an average atomic mass of 107.87. That would round up to 108. So according to this principle, you would then assume that the most common isotope of silver in nature is silver 108, when in actuality, that is not the case. In actuality, 51.8% of all naturally occurring silver is silver 107, and the other 48.2% is silver 109. So there actually isn't a silver 108. So this is not a perfect rule of thumb. It's just a general principle, okay? So don't be married to it, but you can use it, as a general principle. Now, we got to review some key terms before we do some more practice, because I've kind of thrown a lot at you, but I think this is one of those concepts that works better just with application and practice of it. Okay. So you don't necessarily need to write all this down, because I know this is a lot, and we've kind of defined these different things throughout these notes and concept 1 notes, but I'm just going to compile it all on one page for the sake of organization and understanding. So again, remember from concept 1, an atom is the smallest unit of an element that still has the properties of that element. It's assumed to be electrically neutral unless otherwise stated, unless we see notation that it's otherwise stated. That means the number of protons would be equal to the number of electrons. Ions are atoms of the same element, so they have the same number of protons, same atomic number, but they have different numbers of electrons. So they are charged atoms. They are not electrically neutral. They have a different number of protons and electrons, okay? Those would not be equal to each other. Isotopes are atoms of the same element, so they'd have the same atomic number, same number of protons, but they have different numbers of neutrons, okay? So they have different masses. They're assumed to be electrically neutral, again, unless otherwise stated, unless you get, notation that it's an isotope, an ion also. The average atomic mass on the periodic table tends to represent the most common isotope's mass number, since it's a weighted average. And mass number minus atomic number will tell us the number of neutrons. All right. Now, let's do a little bit of practice. I want you to do this, and then we'll go over it as a class. So this is an example of something I could give you where I'm going to give you some notation, and from this, you can determine all of these different things. So first, you can look at this notation and determine if it's an atom or an ion. Okay? It's an ion if it has a charge. It's an atom if it does not. Atomic number, you can look up on the periodic table based on this symbol. Mass number, it's given to you in this nuclear notation. Number of protons is always equal to your atomic number. Number of neutrons is your mass number minus proton number. And then your number of electrons is going to be based on number of protons and whether or not it's an atom or ion. So if it's an atom, it's going to be equal to the number of protons. If it's an ion, you're going to have to think a little bit harder here. Okay? I want you to try this. We'll go over it in class, and then we'll be doing even more practice together. And I promise I'll make sure you are squared away on this and understand how to do these types of calculations.